All right, guys, welcome back. This is the Go Fast, Don't Suck Postal match where my club was really awesome and put up 5 people in the top 20 of 165 or whatever it is shooters in carry optics. So that's pretty great. This video is brought to you by my Patreon supporters. If you would like your match videos analyzed, head on over to Patreon. Link is in the description and I can set something up with you. $1 a month will get you access to my blog that I post over there, which just kind of has some tips and tricks, things that I'm noticing, and scripts to videos that I have coming out. So if you want early access or just want periodic emails of stuff I'm thinking about, that's a good way to get it. So all in, the time, I'm at about an 82 on the match, where Dazzy was about a 67, but really this number should be about a 74. Which would put me kind of right there in the ballpark with everybody else who's kind of clustered together. But everyone's got errors in these matches, but I had a huge mental costly error that cost me about 8.5 seconds on stage 2 or 3, whichever one it is. So this stage, however, I am the #1 shooter in the nation with my 10 hit factor, which is pretty exciting. So ultimately, as far as strategy is concerned, there wasn't a lot to kind of pick apart. I decided to shoot this position, stepping into the box, shooting right to left, because as you move to the right, these targets are taken away from you, so I wanted to shoot them first and kind of back out on this target and see if I couldn't cheat more to the next position. But it's a really tight, wide transition immediately onto the next target. So did that fine. The only other big strategy call is how do you handle the 2 targets on the other side of the barricade. A lot of people decided to shoot one target from about there, and the other target from about there, where they stopped to shoot those pairs of targets. I don't think that was the right way to do it. It introduces 2 wider transitions, and it creates a hard stopping point where you can kind of roll through that position shooting, and then just kind of finish up on the right side of the barrel where you could see both the targets. So that's what I did, and I think it is faster because I beat Dazzy's raw time on this stage, and he's generally faster than me. So that went well. That was a great stage. Really proud of that one. That's probably the best stage I've shot all year. Next stage. So while I made good strategy calls on that stage with that last position, I made bad strategy calls here. These 2 open targets, which you see as you move across the middle, I decided I would try and shoot on the move to try and pick up time, but when you actually watch it, you'll see that I slowed down too much, and I think it probably cost me time ultimately, because really all you had to do was go to each of these positions and shoot all the things. So shoot half of the stage, move to the other position, shoot the other half of the stage. That's probably the way I'd do it if I got to again. So I end up making up a shot on the right target. First one I shot on the move, which cost me about 3/4 of a second, because I thought I saw a mic there. It wasn't a mic, but I'm happy to make up shots when they're bad, so I'm going to let that stand. The classifier stage went well. I had a make-up shot on this target, which I needed because it was a mic. Ultimately, I could have had about a 4.75, but I correctly called it, needed a make-up shot, and I gave it to it, so I ended up with an 86%, which is a master classifier, which isn't bad. A little bit too much movement on that reload because I missed the mag grab. But on this stage, really, you're asked the question of, do you want to draw to close paper or far paper, or do you want to draw to steel? And the more I think about it, I shot it that way just so the gun could get, good grief, guy, just so the gun could get seated in my hand, and then finish strong on the poppers right there. And I think that that's probably a good way to do it. It's a pretty safe way to do it. I think the fastest would be to shoot the mini poppers, then reload to this open target close by, because my reload was a 1.8, and you probably could have shot a sub 1.5 reload onto this open paper at 7 yards. So regardless, I think it went well. All right, this stage, I was going to shoot all the paper, then the steel, the reload, and shoot all the paper. That is not the way to do it. The way to do it is to shoot all the paper, reload, shoot all the paper, and then shoot the steel. That would be the right way to do it. It's just easier, it's cleaner, and as you can see, I forget what I'm doing and end up wasting about a second. So the reload ended up being fumbled because I missed the mag grab because I was all of a sudden real tense for having just gone hunting for targets, but that's relatively minor in the scheme of things. This is the stage. This is the mega dumpster fire. So rather than standing static and drawing to targets, I'm using the draw time to pick up territory, moving off to the left, and I think that's the correct thing to do. Dazzy shot from this position and basically shot all the way to this popper. He shoots that target on the way by and then does the same thing on the right and finishes on this target I'm standing next to. I don't think that's necessarily a better way to do it, although his result was better because he executed better. Needed that makeup shot. Okay. So if you add up all that time right there, there's 3.5 seconds of me just standing around like an idiot before my cameraman stops recording before I realize I need to shoot one more target. Ultimately, because I had to do a standing load, it cost me about 8.5 seconds total. So if we say that it took me 2 seconds to just transition from this target, let's see, right here. So it took me about 2 seconds. My time would have been about, let's see, this is the really bad stage. So if I edit this to 18.25 seconds, which I totally could have done. People are doing it in 16 seconds. This would have been well within my ability. I was not having shooting errors all day, but just changing that on sponsored shooter jumps me up 20 percentile points. And in the overall standings, it catapults me up to number 2, leaving all of my other mistakes on the table. Just this one gigantic mental mistake cost me 5 percentage points on the whole match. And that's pretty costly. So I was ROing most of the day. There were 3 guys who could run the clock on my squad, so I was doing about 1/3 of shooters, and I just need to figure out a better balance and encourage people who know the range commands to hold the clock so I don't have to as much. So work smarter, not harder is what we need to do next month. And finally, this stage, I think I made a bad strategy call on this stage. Ultimately, it was sort of a triangle with, that's about how it looked. And I chose to go right, left, up. And I think the way to have done it for a right-handed shooter, potentially, at least the way I think it would have been faster for me, would have been left, up, right. And so I would shoot all the same targets that I shot from this position. I would shoot this target on the way up. I'd go up here and shoot all the other targets. And I would come back here, stopping along the way to shoot these 2 targets, to shoot those targets over there, and I'd probably done my reload from the middle up to the point of the triangle. So instead, you'll see. And in that last position, I spent so much time just shooting around. I didn't really kind of try and push the dot at all. And these were mostly open targets except for this one head box right there. So I ended up giving up a bunch of time on that stage. And I think most of it was in that last position and probably there. So I need to spend some time shooting a bunch of head boxes at 5 to 7 yards and just getting real comfortable with that. So all in all, the match went pretty well. I think that I probably got my current level of skill on 4 of the 6 stages and just had mental errors on the other 2. So it's a pretty strong match in the scheme of things. It's just that one mental error was so costly. So I'm going to practice kind of leading into oil field, running stage or coming up with stage plans, visualizing them and running them both in dry fire and live fire. I think that's going to pay dividends. And I think I'm going to do those head boxes, just get some more confidence on higher disaster factor type shots. So I appreciate you guys. Again, if you like this kind of video, maybe check out Patreon. I can do this for you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.